Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to the Abomination Goddess podcast. We're happy to have you.
Hello.
Hello. All right. Today I have with me, as always, Casey. She is the author of Abomination Born, a fictional portrayal of her real life experience in the mystical realms. Her action-packed book is full of lessons and insights and calls for other Abomination Born folks just like her in the world to start connecting. She is an award-winning public speaker, and I think that you'll find by watching this podcast and by reading her books that she just effortlessly draws her audience into her world, both in her books and on her stage. And we come together each week and talk about anything and everything that could be considered weird or woo woo or whatever the terms they have for the stuff we talk about nowadays. And we have very open and honest conversations, and we invite everyone else to join us. So, welcome, Casey.
Thank you.
Yeah. My name is Ashley Kim. I am the author of Villainera Goddess. It is a book that I wrote to help women on their journeys to set boundaries, build confidence, heal themselves. It is a very honest and open look at what I went through and the tools that I used to survive my villain era. And we combine all of our knowledge and all of our many aspects of our lives for this podcast. And we also combine just our love of learning new things. And I think that's the cool thing about our podcast is um, we talk about what we know and we talk about what we don't know. And I love it. Yay. Okay. Shall we get into show and tell?
Yeah.
Okay, let me share my screen. You might be on the wrong. Here we go. Okay. Can you see my screen?
I can.
I can. Okay. Let's see. What do we want to start with? Um, do we want to start with the card? Is this an oracle card or is
Yes.
this a, let's see, this one. Oh, this one's so pretty.
Grandfather Sky. This is from the Denise Lynn book and her oracle cards. And I
I love
pulled
that.
that card today. Yeah. Your native spirit wants you to know when you receive the Grandfather Sky card, you're entering into an expansive cycle. Do not hold back and repress what you feel. Your body and spirit will become drained if you strive to meet everyone's expectations, but forget to honor your own needs. Your energy field becomes dull if you allow your emotions and needs the freedom to be spontaneously expressed. And I'll go down further.
Yeah.
Um, Letting the divine light of the Creator flow through you easily replenishes your soul. And the reason
Ooh.
I love this card is today seems to be a day that just everything doesn't seem to be working well today. And then my computer didn't work a few minutes ago, and now
Mhm.
it is working. And what I did earlier was, of course, I got my broom out and I was sweeping. I swept the driveway. Even we have a stone driveway. I swept the driveway. I swept our little
Yeah.
sidewalk. Light and love and joy all the way. And I felt so much better. And I used my new turtle wand and I was shaking that and singing my Wia Heya song. Try-
Oh, I love it.
it
Yeah.
helped.
Yep.
It
A
helped a
complete
lot.
mood change, I'm sure. Yeah.
Complete.
What a good
It, it,
reminder. Oh, go
it
ahead.
helped when the computer went down. It wasn't a complete wreck. Ashley told me to power it off for a really long time, hold it down for a really long
Yep,
time. So if anyone else has that problem, and it worked.
it does. Oh, yes. I'm glad that your computer is working so we can see your lovely face. Here's the book that
Yeah,
goes with
that's
the
it's a
yeah, like
lovely
that.
book.
Yeah.
It's a book with the oracle cards. It's lovely. I have her book as well, and she's just a very fine writer.
Yeah, I love that. Yay. Let's see. Do you want me to save these
Yeah, we'll
this
save those.
save those? Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to share a couple books. Now that it's springtime, I don't know why. This book, it's called Witchcraft Therapy. You don't have to be a witch to read it. Um, But in the springtime each year, I love getting this book out. It's like right when it gets warm enough that I can sit outside and drink my coffee. This is the book that always calls to me. And
Oh.
this author, I like her tone of voice because she curses and she's sarcastic and she's silly, like she's everything. So I just opened it up to one of the pages that I've always enjoyed. It's the enchantment spell. And so, I do believe that at the end of the day, you don't need, spells and things like that. But I also do believe that sometimes you do need a ritual and you do need something that helps you harness all of your emotions and all of your intentions and everything together. And every single religion has some form of this, right? So it obviously works. And so I just say that because some people get a little scared by the word spell or a little turned off. But I would just keep an open mind. And this is one of the ones that I really like to do is the enchantment spell. I do this every once in a while if I get a new piece of jewelry that I'm wearing all the time, or if I get a new coffee cup or anything like that. So this is one of my favorite ones.
What are the
And
step what are the steps to that? It's five
okay.
steps.
Yep, 5 steps. So first you want to get your item. So it could be a necklace, a bracelet, a pocket charm.
Uh-huh.
Like I said, I will sometimes even do a coffee cup. And you want a small bowl of salt and a strength tarot card,
Hmm.
optional. Um, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Lay your item in your bowl of salt.
Okay.
The purpose of this is to cleanse the item. You can substitute it with smoke cleansing if you prefer that. And then
You know,
hold the cleanse.
in the old days, salt was considered the most valuable thing. I mean, that was
Mhm.
like money. So
Yeah.
that's an ultimate honor. Not only does it kill bacteria, but it's an ultimate honor
Mhm.
to an item, you know.
Yeah. I like that it's an honor. I really like
Hmm.
that. Okay, so then once you've cleansed it, hold it in your hands, breathe deeply, and imagine a white light starting at
Uh-huh.
the area of your third eye, in your forehead, filling your body, flowing through your arms, out of your hands, and into the charm.
I love that.
Visualize, yeah, visualize the powerful white light, full of strength, courage, and resilience, just filling the item. If you want to, you can focus on your strength tarot card, or if there's an oracle card, and then tell the item what its purpose is to lend you strength to do hard things. Or if you have another purpose, you can substitute that in here. For an added boost, lay your item on top of the strength card in your windowsill the next full moon. This will amp up your enchantment. Super simple,
Oh,
right?
it's very
And
good. It's very
yes,
good.
yeah. And so this
Anything that we
author,
do in the white light, you know, when we're in that, I call it like this giant tube. We've been
Mhm.
watching remakes of The Curse of Oak Island, and they're digging this big, they've got these great big tubes that are going into the ground and they're 7 feet wide. And that's how I see this tube that comes down from source over me. And so if I'm holding today I was holding my turtle rattle, my new turtle rattle, and I was in that like this 7 foot tube of
yeah,
pure white light, you know, coming down.
yes,
And that's what this is saying to do. I didn't do the salt. I need to add the
yeah.
salt to it.
Yeah, I love it.
Show
I love
honor, you
including
know.
salt. Yeah. And it kind of reminded me when you were reading a part of this.
Hmm.
Let's see, which part was it? Oh, you said it. You said the same thing in here about
Hmm. Hmm.
allowing that energy to come in. And now I can't find it quickly enough, but I love
It was at
how
the bottom of that second to the last paragraph, letting the
of the
uh,
divine light of the creator
divine
flow
light.
through you.
You know, I got to put my
Yes, there you
glasses
go.
back
Thank
on to
you.
read that.
I was like, I knew that, yeah, I knew you had read or said something. Yeah, so I
Yes.
love how sometimes our things click and go together. So yeah, that author, this is Mandy M. She has a few books out, but this one is still my favorite one. It's her very first book. Um, yeah, I love that book. I also wanted to bring up, and I was trying to quickly find just a passage in here that I really liked, but I just didn't have time to do that. But this is a wonderful book for anybody who is a creative. And so this is the author of Eat, Pray, Love, Elizabeth Gilbert. She wrote this book. It's called Big Magic. And basically, what she talks about is how creative ideas come to you, right? And if you don't grab them and use them, they will go to someone else. They're just floating around, and
Mhm.
there's a ton of
Yes,
them out there. So if you
yes.
don't grab one and someone else the next day is like, "Oh, I had this great idea. I'm gonna blah blah blah," and you're thinking, "Well, I just had the idea yesterday. I just do it." There's another one out there. You just go grab that next one. But she talks about real life experiences where she has had an idea. She had a full book outline, didn't use it. 5 years later, she was talking to some author, and they told her exact book that nobody in the world would ever know she ever had this written down. And this has happened multiple times. And so her theory is that these ideas are almost like their own entities and they're floating around waiting for someone to grab them. And you grab it and you hold on to the ones you want. And if you let one pass up, someone else will get it. But don't be heartbroken because yours is coming. There's another one coming. It is, there is just so much. But I liked the way that she talks about it, first of all, but then I also just like the way that there's no stress around it. You're not a big loser if you didn't do, it's just it literally it's just the way it is. So anyway, I recommend this book for anybody who is a creative in any area, not just for authors, but any type of creative. I really liked this book, so wanted to share that one.
And with that, years ago, and I still go there sometimes, there's a place when you meditate and you're in that, you have to be in that tube of white light
Mhm.
whenever you're meditating, of course. And so when I'm in that tube of light, sometimes I will ask to go to the Hall of Inventions. And it's like
Oh,
this giant library kind of place with everything that's ever thought of to be invented. And you can just look
gosh.
at things and admire different things. And if you want to, you can bring something back. But you're right. The everything is already out there. And it's just, did you tap into it? Did you pull it down?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I loved it. Yep. Excellent book. Okay. So then my last show and tell item, I have been, so I like to get just new scents in the air. I don't burn a lot of candles unless I'm doing a ritual. So I do a lot of just infusing essential oils for a smell. And I got this one in the mail, and it has a bunch of my favorite things in there, like Lang Lang, geranium, bergamot. So I like a lot of those scents. But I have been trying to associate because I do this kind of by default, and now I want to do it intentionally. Associate a scent, or like a oil like this, to a like a certain drive or goal or whatever in my life. And so when I am on a path, so I'm thinking like work wise, I'm transitioning to like new clients and doing slightly different things. When I am on a good path, I see money everywhere. So I step on money all the time. So it's not like we're tossing coins all over our house or our driveway, but suddenly I'm always stepping on a coin like every single day, multiple times a day. And so I am taking that whole vibe, because that's what I'm doing right now is everywhere I go, I step on money at the grocery store, on the street, and I'm using this scent to go with it. So then in the mornings I could get my scent on and just kind of celebrate where I am right now in this journey of I'm just starting, but I know for a fact I'm on the right path, and this is going to be my scent for the journey. So that might sound really weird to do that, but it just kind of helps me celebrate and keep, I don't know, just kind of keep positive and motivated.
I love that. That's such a good idea.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay.
I,
So
I
let me
I knew this girl who did a lot of letter writing, and every time she would write a letter to friends, she would pull her letters out, the paper out of one drawer, and she had potpourri in that drawer that smelled one way.
uh-huh.
And every time she had to write some kind of correspondence for work, then she'd pull it out, and it would have a smell to it, but it would be different. So she would use,
Oh,
so
yeah.
and so it helped her. This was years ago, and it helped her to know that she was doing business over here, and she was very good at business.
Oh, I like that idea a lot. I have been, if I'm if I have time, and if I'm mailing something in the mail, I like to wrap an incense stick or something and shove it in there if I'm like
Oh,
mailing a
good
package.
idea.
And then when they
Yeah.
open it, it smells so good, but then they can use the incense stick as well. There's just something about having a good smell hit you in the
Yeah.
face. that
Yes.
that helps. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I have been doing. And yeah, just celebrating every single day when I step on a dime or a nickel or a penny or a quarter or, whatever. Um, yeah, I would say anytime I've made a big change in my career and it's a good change, this always happens where I step on money. So that's what I'm doing right now with my.
And this is the time for change.
Hmm. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So it is all lining up and it makes me very excited. I love it. Okay, so that was our show and tell. I think today we were going to talk book club for my book. Um, I think you were a bit more prepared for this than I was, Casey. Do you want me to go back to sharing my screen or do we want to
Yeah.
just talk
Oh,
first?
oh, okay. Well, uh, one of the reasons I thought for sure we should talk about your book was because your book is about breaking away from maybe what you were before and going into something new. And by doing that, some people take on an impression that you've become a villain. And uh, it's sort of like you have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
And I just love your book for helping with that, because even this morning it was just one of those days. I thought, oh, thank goodness, I've got to get out her book. um, Let me put my glasses on so I can see
Yeah.
better. In your let's see, yeah, in your introduction on page 2, you say, as you start sharing your truth, you may find there's an urgent need for something to change that bubbles up inside you.
Mhm.
And so maybe everything else in our life is just fine and we fit in with everybody and everything. But when something starts to bubble up inside and we start beating to a different drummer, that's when
Mhm.
we become this villain.
Yes. Yes, definitely. And that, yeah. And when those bubbles start happening, you can't ignore them anymore.
Yeah.
Kind of like gas. I mean, if you
Yeah.
have gas, you can't ignore it.
Right.
A
Oh,
horrible analogy.
and what I like is that you wrote, when I felt like I had no one, I'm sharing my messy journey with you, so you know you are not alone. And that was so sweet of you to do that. I mean, the whole book, because most people who once they've accomplished things, they're so focused on what they've accomplished that they don't remember where they came from. And your book is
Right.
about helping everyone else come along where you came
Yeah.
from.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. And I think there's also a group of people that when they get to where they're going, they don't want anyone to know where they came from. They don't want
This
anyone
is
to
true.
know what they
Right.
had to overcome. They want to look like they've always been sitting over here where they are, and they haven't. And that was part of the thing too, is I wanted other women to know like this is what I went through. It is very messy. It is not perfect at all. Like this is not going into a book of how to do everything the perfect way, but it is a book on how to save yourself and how to accept yourself. And to me, that is the perfect way to do something, right? It's like, I don't know. If you can't accept yourself enough to save yourself, then that's it for you, Like it's going to be a sad life. And for me
Yeah.
anyway, my personality is do and learn as I go. I can read everything, I can watch all the videos, and I do. But until I actually take that step, I don't learn anything. And so that I think my journey maybe is a little bit messier because of that. And same with like even if I'm working on actual work, I can't just present a good design or a good, blog post. I have to get in there and be messy and try something and read it and do I even like that? And I think a lot of people are like that, but everyone wants to see the final product. Nobody wants to see what it looked like to get there. And nobody necessarily, not nobody, but a lot of people don't want to show all of the pivots and the bad decisions and the mistakes that you made to get to a spot where people might admire you where you're at. So yeah, that's what I don't know. And I just want women to know you don't have to be perfect. And I
That's
maybe that's
right.
because that is how I was brought up is if I did anything that made someone feel uncomfortable or it didn't help them or whatever, then I wasn't being perfect. Or if I was at work and I didn't laugh along with a sexist joke, then I wasn't being that perfect female employee. And then, you get older and you're like, well, wait a minute, I don't have to be perfect either. Like none of these other people are. So yeah, this book is like your permission to just go be messy and protect yourself. And I'm with you, with you the whole time.
It makes me think of I'm like you. You know, I have to go through bad times in order to really learn something. And my husband is not like that. Within a blink of an eye, he'll just get something. Oh, is that how it goes? Okay. And he's just fine with it. I remember one time this was way back when there were rotary telephones. Some guy had replaced our phone and the innards of our phone and everything. And he watched Al watching him do it. And he says, well, do you think you could put it back together again? And Al said, okay. And Al put it back together again. And the guy was so impressed. And,
Yeah.
Al was a parachute packer in the Marines.
Mhm.
And, if I was a parachute packer, I'd have to do it different every time. Let's be creative. And Al told me, well, you can't do that. They'll put you in the brink. That's against the law. And so I think these creative people, like, when we just we just have to kind of go through things. I have to
Yeah.
feel the parachute. I can't just
Yes.
do it the way it's supposed to be.
Exactly. Yes, I agree. I have to feel it. I have to feel it all.
Yes. But Al, I used to think, well, is he really getting this? Because, we would have an experience. He would see a ghost or something with me. And, like in the time of a blink of an eye, he was just fine with it. Oh, yeah, it's no big deal to see, an Indian riding off on a horse or, an Indian having him dig through hard dirt. And I'm like, I'm trying to talk him through all this.
Yeah.
And he just, he's a different kind of a person. He just gets it.
Yeah.
But for
Yeah.
those of us who are kind of, we need to be led through or held, our hands held. That's what your
Yeah.
book is for, is people like me.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, exactly. And that's how I am too. And yeah, and I think I even said in there, this is the book that, or in the words I needed with the examples I needed when I felt like I had no one. And yeah, because I'm the same way. Like I'm gonna scribble outside the lines before I start over and
Yeah.
color pretty in the lines. Like that's just the way I'm gonna be. And that's how
In
I
your
learn.
introduction, you compare it to riding on a roller coaster and screaming your head off on a roller coaster as you're going down and going up, and then you say that you are sitting in the seat next to me as I'm going down and going up, and you're
Yes.
screaming right along with me. And I thought, oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, I
Yeah.
need I need to have someone hold my hand as I'm screaming.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And that is that permission to be messy, right? It's like, I
Yeah,
mean, sometimes you really do want to scream. And even if you don't, you do want to, deep inside. So I don't know. It's like that's also that is another admission for women is that we do have to be calm and collected all the time. So even just to admit that you want to
yes,
scream can be a big
yes.
deal for a woman.
Be
So
allowed to
I,
scream.
yes, yeah. So I am most definitely screaming beside you the whole time.
You'd be screaming if you were coming down from a parachute that I had packed. It's like, who packed this?
Screaming and cursing. I thought that this was supposed to be here and this was supposed to be here.
I wanted to be creative.
Oh, I love it. Yep. So
And
yeah,
let's
that's
see.
what the book's
The
for.
other thing you wrote, okay, on page 3, I started this book not to celebrate evil villains, but to liberate women from the villainous stories that are weaved around them as they fight each day to save themselves.
Mhm.
And that is just wonderful. And it is like a fight to save ourselves.
It is. Yeah, it is. And I
I
wanted,
lost so many girlfriends. I just can't tell you. You talk about, in one place you say that, it's sort of like having a glass of wine and talking late at night with your girlfriends. I don't have any girlfriends like that anymore. I
Yeah.
lost them all
Yeah.
when they took they I became their villain because I
Yeah.
stopped being quiet about what I know. And
Yeah.
as soon as they heard what I know, then I could not be their friend anymore.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. And I think sadly, for people who are like us, who aren't going to follow the status quo, we do lose a lot of friends.
Yeah,
And or we meet people for the first time and they're done with us, like because they're like,
yeah,
oh, whoa, that is way. And sometimes I truly believe some people don't want anyone who lives honestly because they just can't handle it. And it took me a long time to realize that too, is like me losing a friend. From my point of view, I lost a friend, but realistically, I did not lose a friend. I lost a person that I wish was my friend, but they weren't. And so, but it is hard to do that, and to navigate that. And I think too that, not to say celebrate evil villains, but to liberate women from their villainous stories. I also wanted this book to be a way for women to claim the word villain as our
yeah,
own. So if someone
yeah.
throws it at you, you already own that term. Nobody can hurt you with that. You already own it. And I remember, like in high school, when, and I don't know if this is just small town high school or this is a thing that all women go through, but I remember like right when girls started dating, and then if you didn't want to date a boy or whatever, then he would turn around and tell everyone that you were a slut. And that's how it went. And so you didn't have to do anything. You weren't out there doing anything to earn that title, but that's what you were called when they were mad at you. And my girlfriends and I, we would just call each other slut. We'd, hey, slut, how you doing? We owned the term. Nobody could use it against us anymore. And then if they came up with a new term, that's what we started calling each other. And they had nothing to use against us because we were just calling each other that. And so, like this is obviously a toned down version. I'm not calling you guys sluts in my book, I promise. But it's kind of the same thing. It's like we are owning villain, like we own that. And honestly, we're going to own goddess too. We're going to own both of those labels. And, that's what we're doing with this book. So it's kind of a
I
tangent.
love that. That is so true. That is really good. Let's see. Let me read this next thing that you have on here. When we stop following the status quo set by family, by society, by our culture, we become the villains. And yeah, that's it.
Yep.
And I always, well, I would say that I'm a bloodthirsty, vicious weasel. A villain
I
is
love it.
probably a nicer way to say it, but
Yeah.
that was my thing. And my husband would say, well, I would say to him, it took a Marine to be able to handle me.
Yeah.
and and really, it sometimes we're so different that it does take a Marine or somebody with their own sense of who they are to be
Yes.
around me
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
you or someone like us.
Yes. Yeah. And I would say my husband was not a Marine, but he has a very strong sense of self. Like there's no
Yeah,
question at all.
yeah,
And I think too with these strong men and women, whoever you're dating or married to, but when they have that strong sense of self-worth, they don't feel like they're going to be easily swayed on anything, right? So I can come in and say the most wildest thing, and the only impact I have on him is if it's going to be a conversation or if he's just going to let me go with my weird thing I said and continue walking out the room. That's it. Like there's nothing else to it. He doesn't hold his identity to it, nothing. And I do
yeah,
think that for people like us, I think that matters because we are we are receiving and interpreting a bunch of different things all the time. And some of it we can explain, some of it we cannot explain, but we usually like to tell somebody we love out loud that this is what I went through or saw today or whatever. And it does take a person who is very strong and secure in who
yes,
they are. And yeah, and doesn't let us push them around either. Like when
right.
you're a strong personality, you need someone that you're not necessarily going to butt heads with, but you're going to mesh with and you can handle each other. So yeah, no, I totally get that. Sony, he's not a Marine, but he does call it having an inner dog where he's not backing down to anything.
An inner dog, that's so cute because they're not, they can be vicious, but they're so loyal.
Yes, yeah, and that's him. Sweetie. Oh, I love it. Yeah, so thank you for talking about the book. And the first chapter is just kind of the intro into why I was writing it. And yeah, I hopefully, women reading this, I hope it speaks to you. I try to use very specific examples in here. For example, on page 3, I have in quotes, she wasn't raised to act like that. That really is something that was said about me when I didn't, want to be hanging around abusers in the family. And that is probably exactly word for word what many women have also heard about themselves as well. Or she has never treated me that way before. That is so rude. That would just be me saying no to something that I should have been saying no to anyway. So all of those things, I try to use in the book because I know that you've heard similar or the exact same.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah. All right. Did you have anything else? I was not prepared for anything, so I'm good to go on chapter 1
Well,
here.
I hate to keep dwelling on this, but the fact that you call your book the villain era,
Hmm.
villain era, it's we're waking up.
Hmm.
And with the planets having been in that alignment, and it won't happen for another 100 years, I think that this is going to be happening everywhere. Uh, in the late 60s, it was the burning of the bra thing with the women. And
Yeah.
I think back then, women were trying to fight the patriarchal system, but in a
Mhm.
way that they became patriarchal themselves because they went to wearing pants and they went to dressing like men, wearing suits and
Yeah.
taking on men jobs and being proud of that, which I understand that's kind of a way to evolve.
Yeah.
And I think that something's happening now where women are saying, hey, I am a woman. And if
Hmm.
being a woman makes me a villain, then I'm a villain.
Right.
And
Exactly.
I'm a goddess. And if being a
Yes.
goddess makes me a villain, then I'm a
Right.
villain era goddess.
Exactly. Exactly. I think that is an amazing point, Casey, because I do feel like now women are saying, actually, I'm going to tell you how I define me as a woman versus before we were taking of, oh, if we're going to be equal, then we need to act like a man versus no, we just need to act like ourselves and be accepted for that. And that's it. Like that is it. So it could be, it could be that you wear dresses. It could be that you are, what are the cliche women careers, teacher, nurse, whatever. You can be all that, like all of it, you don't have to go out and be a construction worker or whatever. Like, and I think that's the biggest change, or that's the biggest change that I'm noticing with, the newer movements is that the definitions are being applied by the individual and not by like the overarching, I don't know,
Yes,
society or whatever. Yeah.
yes. And we almost have to put up this shield to protect ourselves from anyone who wants to make us something other than who we are.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
just am who I am. I'm as odd as I am. And
Yeah.
most of my friends are spirits.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I,
Yeah.
I yeah,
I know. And exactly. And you're fine. You're fine. Exactly how you are.
I can have a good conversation with a rock.
Yeah, exactly. And you're going to leave feeling good and soothed, and that's the
Yes.
way it should be. And yeah, and I know I keep getting hard on myself because lately most of my friends have been more online, but also this is one of the first times in my life where I have been meeting people from other states that I really connect with. Like I have you. We don't see each other in person, but thankfully we get to see each other online. And I was starting to feel kind of ashamed of like no, I should have like in person friends, which I should, and and I do, but there's no reason why I should remove myself from this perfect relationship that I have with you just because it doesn't fit this ideal relationship or friendship that people like to define for us. So yeah, I talk to your
I
spirits,
think
talk to your rocks, talk to your online friends.
we're moving out of the time where we like I wear a hat because I'm part bald from COVID, but um I think we're moving out of the time where we wore a different hat, so to speak, for each job or each type of person we were. And
Yeah.
we're beginning to realize that being ourselves, we are who we are. We are ourself, our goddess,
Yeah.
our
Yep.
villain, in
Yeah.
all our different aspects of life, whatever that is.
Hmm.
And you know, I mean, I went through a time where I was like a pajama wearing goddess forever. I
Yeah.
mean, everything I wore, of course, that was during the hot flashes, and I couldn't stand anything touching my skin that was
Yep.
rough. And I wore pajama-like clothes for that whole time practically because I just couldn't. That's in order to be myself, that's what I had to wear.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that because I wear a lot of pajamas right now for the exact same reason.
I just
To
couldn't
the
take
yeah,
it.
I've been looking up online pajamas that look like clothes.
Yeah,
Just
I had some. Yes.
yeah. Yeah. And so yeah, that's what I've been doing. I wear a lot of pajama dresses, like dress things. Um yeah. And as soon as I get home, the bra's off and then there's only one piece of clothing touching me and that's it.
Yeah. It's like we go through these different phases in our life, and it's almost like we're redoing, when we were like probably 2 years old or so, and they put us in these onesies.
Mhm.
It's like we're doing our onesie era over again with that. And
Yeah.
I'm 70, almost 72, so I'm out of the onesies,
Yeah.
phase. And now I'm back to when I was 9. And I just want to wear things that are free and I can go play.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have
Yes.
any restrictions.
Right. Yep. Oh, I love that. And that is so funny, the onesie stage, because my friends will be like, look, I bought a jumper, like just a jumper. And they're like, just like you're always wearing. I'm like, oh my gosh, I do. That's like the adult onesie. But I
Yes,
love them.
yes. We go through our different phases. We're
Yeah.
we're making it right, maybe in some way. Our body is helping us to make something right from the past or whatever, redoing it, you
Yes.
know.
Yeah. And that's a good point too, because we don't always know when our body is doing that for us. Like if
Mhm.
you, especially if you're busy and you're not paying attention to yourself, you don't know what your body is helping you with. And so that is an excellent point that,
Yeah,
um,
what fashion are
yeah,
we drawn to? And my
yeah,
fashion sense, or what I am drawn to, changes with my probably the hormones.
mhm,
As I don't have any hormones anymore, so like I said, I'm
yeah,
I'm back to being a 9-year-old girl again.
yeah.
And
Okay.
9-year-old girls, when I was 9-year-old, I liked to dress up and play. I
Yeah.
would be the one outside on the swing set wearing a dress.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
And
I was too.
I remember one time I went to school and I forgot I had my pajama panties on under my dress. I was so embarrassed. I thought the whole school knew.
Oh my goodness, the things that we remember.
Yes. It's like I showed everyone. What?
Um, oh, I love it. Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah. So yeah, pay attention to your body and just go with it. I think that's the biggest thing I'm learning is just go with it because you're not always going to fully understand logically
Yeah.
why you do
And
stuff.
there's sites like Pinterest, which is
Mhm.
kind of good. You can kind of flash through different things in Pinterest, and
Yeah.
you'll be attracted to certain things and maybe you don't even know why. Just kind of kind of see what you're doing, maybe grab those pictures or whatever, and it might show you where you're heading, where you're moving to next.
Yeah. Yep. I love that. Yeah, I have. I think, and we've talked about this before, my wardrobe, well, today I'm in a sweatshirt because I'm cold, but my wardrobe has taken a big change. And part of that has just been accepting myself and accepting my real style, which I would call probably millennial librarian if I had to label it. But it's been kind of nice. And so my daughter will help me like stay in style. So I'll be like, this is what I want. Help me pair it with something, you know? And so she helps me pick out the shoes and the shirts and whatever. But it's been kind of fun to like not be a uniformed robot anymore and to step back and be like, no, what do I really want to wear? You know,
Exactly.
what really speaks to me?
Yeah.
Um, and I will say at first it's a little scary to like go out in public as myself, but then now I just feel bad for the people who aren't. You know, if I see the pod people or the robot people, that's what I call them, dressed in their uniform to fit in, and I think I'm so sorry that you have to do that. I'm sorry that you don't know that you can wear whatever the heck you want, within reason, obviously, but yeah.
It's their
So
shield, it's their way to protect themselves.
yes,
They're
yeah,
going to that. And so the ones who are dressing the way they feel are going through the villain era because they've become villains all of a sudden.
yes, yep,
You know, who
yes,
do you think
yes,
you are dressing like that? Or why would you do that?
exactly.
Or, that
Yes.
kind of,
Yeah, and your shield is on the inside now because it's no
yes,
longer on the outside with whatever's helping you fit in. When you remove that barrier, your strength and your shield has to be on the inside. Um, and I think maybe that's also why, as a little girl, I would see women who were themselves, and I remember thinking, man, how do they do that? Like, who
yes,
gave them that permission? Like in my mind, somebody tapped
yeah,
them on the shoulder and said, "Hey, you get to be yourself, not anyone else,
yes,
just you." You know, like I didn't realize
yes,
that that was their own
yes.
growth, and they went, through everything. But yeah, I remember thinking that, and now I get to be that lady in public that reminds a little girl you can wear and do whatever you want. You know,
Yeah.
so yay. Okay, anything else for our podcast today? It always flies by.
Oh, it does.
Yeah. Let's see. What are our reminders? White light,
Yeah.
um, being in it while you're meditating, while you're doing anything really. Um,
Try the salt.
Try the
And
salt.
remember that
Yeah.
it's a form of honor for because salt was a form of money.
Yeah,
It was
it's
so
currency.
valued.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's such a good reminder. And then, yeah, start working on just being yourself. I don't know. Sometimes that means just being a little bit more mindful and slowing down a little bit to see, do I really want to wear that? Do I really want to eat that? Do I really want my hair to look like that? Is that who I want to talk to today? You know, like sometimes we're in such a rush, we just do what's next on our list. We don't stop to think about the fact that maybe we don't want coffee anymore. We want tea now, or maybe we want to wear dresses instead of pants, or maybe we want pants now instead of dresses. Whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just
Exactly.
slow down and think about it and
Be the
yeah.
villain
Yeah, be the villain.
in your own
Claim
life, you
it.
know?
Yeah, claim it. And you know what? Like I was saying earlier, if somebody has an insult that they hurl at you, claim it as your own.
Thank you.
So
That's what
yeah,
my husband
yeah,
always would say. If someone gave him an insult of any kind, he'd say, "Thank you."
yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like,
And what does the other
okay.
person do with that? They don't know what to do with that.
Yeah,
They're like, wait,
it
wait.
just shuts down that power.
Yes.
And so
Yep.
and
Yes,
then of course,
exactly.
we do that thing where we go up over our forehead,
Yeah. Choose again.
choose again, choose again.
Yes. Yes. And what you were saying earlier too, sweeping with the light
Yes.
and love, I think that's a reminder we should just have every week. Because I still need that reminder as well. So I think that is such a good thing to do.
And you know that the white light that's inside of us in that tube, that's where when I'm sweeping, then I try to make it come out and be like that 7 foot canister that's going up and
Yes.
going down into the earth.
Yes.
Or like you said the other day, like the tail, the dragon's
Yes.
tail.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
love
tail.
that.
And then the other day, I don't know what triggered this, but and I forgot all about this. One of the newer things that I've been trying to do when I remember, we had a pot. I don't, you and I were talking. It might not have been a podcast, it might have been something else. And you said something about having wings. And then I read something else, and it was a meditation where you open your wings and it's like expanding your energy kind of that way. But something about that, like visually, and I don't, it just clicked in my head. And so I have been expanding my wings while I'm cleaning and just doing things like that.
I
And
love that.
it helps. And I've even noticed like my kids are like kind of clinging to me, like, what are you doing? And they feel it.
Yes.
So yeah, I've been expanding my wings and then trying to connect my tail to the earth.
Yes.
So yeah, I think any of those visualizations are just so helpful.
Yes. We're dragons with these giant wings and long, thick tails that go down into the earth.
Yes,
Mi-
exactly.
Mine's pink.
Yes. I don't know yeah, I don't know what color mine is. I always picture red for some reason, but I don't
There
know.
you go.
Yeah, yeah, maybe it's just red. So
Hmm.
yeah, awesome. Okay. Well, I hope everyone has a wonderful week for the rest of the week and an amazing weekend. And it was great to talk to you as always, Casey. I just love our time together.
Me too.
Yay. Awesome. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.